to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my fellow turtle,
Michelangelo.
and we are the Meddling Kids, and we like to review movies. And this week we'll be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome, it's great to have you. For those of you coming back, hey, great to have you back. We will never spoil anything with the movie in the first 5 to 10 minutes. We'll give you a spoiler-free review. Then we'll give you some background on the movie. Then we'll kind of get to a quick play-by-play, and then we're changing stuff up slightly, and then we're going to talk a little bit more intentionally about things we liked and didn't like about the movie as well. But again, we'll never spoil anything in the first 10, 15 minutes. Mike, you ready for a spoiler-free review?
That I am.
All right, 0 to 5, sir. What'd you give it?
So just quick, I think I'm very biased to the original trilogy from the 90s. I think that those were some of my favorite movies as a kid. I obviously loved it. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers were some of my favorite shows when I was a kid. So I was very partial to the 1990 movie and the sequels. This one was fun though. I think this might be the youngest iteration they've done for them, and I kind of really liked it. There was some very funny scenes with them just being teenagers, right? Because obviously teenagers is in the name, but they've always seemed very much the later part of their teens. So I think this is like how Tom Holland was a very much younger Spider-Man than what we had seen prior. I think this was an interesting take. I really enjoyed the camaraderie between the brothers, the main turtles. I think my review is about a 3. I think it was very, very mid. I did a lot of things that they did, but I think the story was kind of lacking. I think they did find ways to be new and innovative with this telling of it. I did enjoy the animation style. I think I'm very, appreciative of what the Spider-Verse movies kind of introduced into animation. So a lot of different studios are kind of doing their own things when it comes to animation, and it's not your Pixar or DreamWorks or maybe Illumination, those styles of animation. So I really did like it. Like I said, I think it was just the story kind of fell flat in ways, and it kind of fell into tropes. But I enjoyed the voice acting. I enjoyed the animation. It was very fun to see some of the characters that they introduced in this outside of the main turtles and Master Splinter and April, the ones that obviously everybody knows. It was nice to see those different characters, and I also enjoyed the soundtrack. I think I said this alongside with the Transformers movie. How since it was set in New York, they really leaned into the hip hop of it all, the 90s hip hop era. So it's I really enjoyed the soundtrack with this. But yeah, so I 3. I think it was fun, but it was it wasn't. I don't know. I had more fun with some of the originals, like I said, from the 90s, and some other movies that came out this summer alongside it. I mean, I hope it does really well. Like I said, it's not that I hated it, but I did find there was lulls in this movie somehow, and it was only an hour and a half, which is weird. But yeah, so definitely enjoyable. But I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I would say, yeah, I'm feeling pretty comparable of even a 2.5, 3.
Yeah, originally it was a 2.5, but
yeah,
I'm trying to it was one of those things where I think I wanted to bump down my Transformers to bump this one up. Because I think I liked this one better than Transformers, so I can't put them on the same. I mean, I guess you can, depending on what you like about them. But yeah, it was originally a 2.5. I think once we started recording, I kind of boosted it up a bit. But yeah, I agree. Go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it is pros of the movie. Animation was great. Had some solid action sequences. I agree. I like the soundtrack a lot. Yeah, what else? We had. Most of the voice acting was pretty solid. I have realized now, no offense, Mr. Rogen, I'm not a huge fan of Seth Rogen's voice acting. Whenever
he has too much of a dick voice to really lean into voice acting.
Yeah, and and because cool movie, but yeah, it's just he was the Warthog character, and I was every time the Warthog character talked, I was that just took me out of it. And it might just be because I've grew up watching so much Seth Rogen, so I can like hear. I know it's him. So, but it just takes me out of the movie. But yeah, I agree on like pacing issues and a light story, and a lot of like even at the end, like there was a huge no spoilers, but just like a flip flopping of characters a little bit, and I was just like, wait a second, like that doesn't fully make sense to me. So it was, I think, plot was light just so they could put like a nice bow on it. And I agree with those lulls you were talking about. It was just when stuff happens, we were like, okay, how can we explain what's going on? And there was just like, this is what's going on, blah 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 blah. And I was like, whoa, that was just a big old exposition dump, huh? Okay, sounds good, but like you want the movie to go. I mean, it was definitely it being a younger movie for like with the younger turtles was cool, and like having them actually be teenagers. But then, of course, whenever you have teenagers like that, and then other teenagers are involved, you're like, how are you doing this when you're just a high schooler instead of an adult? But it's a movie. It's a movie. It's for younger kids for sure. But yeah. But I also want to say, yeah, I really like the animation. It had like a gritty, different kind of animation to it, which I really appreciated and enjoyed. But definitely, like, yeah, it was a solid movie. It's no Spider-Verse, or Across the Spider-Verse, but it's just because I'm comparing it because it's like a superhero movie, animated. But again, it was pretty fun. It was, I think, worth seeing, and I hope it does, well as well. So I'm not going to give it a definitive one way or the other yet. I'm going to stick with 2.5, 3, just because I'm not fully sure. Because like the animation, the good action sequences and other stuff might make up for the fact that story was lacking a little bit, and that would bump into that 3. But I'm just not sure if it does yet. So 2.5, 2, 3 for now.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, all right. So we know Seth Rogen was involved because we had this voice. But what other background we got on this? Yeah.
All right, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was released on August 2nd, 2023. The runtime is an hour and 39 minutes. The budget was $70 million, which is nice to see, like, a decent budget so that they could actually make their money back. We don't know the box office. I think in the first, because it came out on Tuesday, Wednesday. So I think in those first few days it made about 10 million. So we'll see how it performs in its actual opening weekend. But I think it's going up against the Meg, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Currently, the Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 95 and 94 for audience and critics, but once again, it's 2 days out, so we'll actually see how that shifts. The genre is action, adventure, animation. The directors are Jeffrey Rowe and Kyler Spears. So Jeffrey actually directed. Sorry, Jeff. I don't know if he goes by Jeffrey. Jeff actually directed The Mitchells versus the Machines. I don't know if you saw that. That was a Netflix movie that came out last year. Mm-hmm. Also, a very interesting animated movie. So yeah, he directed that last year, and then he's also directed episodes of Gravity Falls, which is a really good show, and Disenchantment. And then Kyler was just a kind of an art director on like The Mitchells versus the Machines, Axe Cop, and the Minions movie. Okay. So I think this is his directorial debut.
Yeah.
The cast.
Kyler was involved with Axe Cop. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I remember like when that thing went viral forever ago. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, cool, good for that.
Yeah, so the cast, we have Micah Abbey as Donatello, Shaman Brown Jr. as Michelangelo, we have Nicholas Cantu as Leonardo, and Brady Noon as Raphael. And then some of the other characters, we have Ayo Edie Byrie, as April, Maya Rudolph as Cynthia, Seth Rogen as Bebop, John Cena as Rocksteady, Ice Cube as Superfly, Giancarlo Esposito as Dr. Baxter, Jackie Chan as Master Splinter, Paul Rudd as Mondo the Gecko, and Rose Byrne as Leatherhead.
Yeah. Do you think? Okay, so with the Gecko character, the fact that he was so damn charming was because it was Paul Rudd? Because that was like, yeah, just Paul Rudd.
I think it was very much, this was a movie where he was calling in favors, because like all these people he's worked with prior. Mm-hmm. So it's very much, even like Post Malone was in it as a character. Like, so it was definitely a, what are you doing for the next few days?
Well, because Paul Rudd is just kind of like, such like it seems like a nice, amicable dude. Like people really like him. And the Gecko is one of my favorite characters,
Yeah,
and I
yeah, yeah.
didn't really realize it was Paul Rudd until right now. You just said it, and I was like,
Oh, really? Okay. I think I knew going in. I think
Mhm.
because of the fact that maybe one of the commercials or something like what one of the excuse me, one of the commercials had like shown like how many big names were in this, and I remember his name, so I could definitely tell when when he got introduced in that scene. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely Paul Rudd.
All I'm saying is, I guess Paul Rudd is just so charming that even when he's an animated gecko, he's still a lovable guy. All right. What did you think of Ice Cube's performance as Superfly?
He's another one where it takes you out. I think he has a very distinct voice as well.
Hmm.
Um, I think it was fine. He might have been some more of the weaker voice acting, I
Hmm.
guess. This I think maybe on an emote level, right? I think that's the big thing with voice acting. It's not just saying these lines because of the fact that like in live action, like I can see your face and like really you can emote that way. But I think to emote with strictly just your voice is a talent that So it was I think it was just in the same way though you were talking about Seth Rogen just being Seth Rogen,
Yeah.
right? I think Ice Cube's character was just Ice Cube. Like
Hmm.
it really. I mean, it was fine. I
Yeah.
think I enjoyed that character. Was I mean, even the motivations were like kind of. I get that in a way.
Yeah.
But I think he might have been one of the weaker voice acting, even though for the most part the voice acting was solid. I think he might have been on the weaker end of the spectrum when it came to the voice acting, just because his voice is so distinct.
Yeah, and I think I partially I think I agree with you, but that also made me think of something I didn't like as much about this movie, and something I don't really like about a ton of movies, in general, is I don't really like when they have all these pop culture references throughout them. Like it's like modern of what's going on right
Yeah,
now.
because you date yourself immediately.
Exactly. And that's always makes me think of. So this one was full of pop culture references from like the past like 5 years. And like it was just so many callbacks to that. And I agree exactly as you said, Mike. It dates the movie. And then it makes me think like 10, 20 years from now, people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? A lot of these
Even
jokes, are gonna fall flat because
even in the trailer, this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but uh, the Ice Cube's character says 6 a.m. and the police knocking at my door. It was
yeah.
like that's a reference from 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, fair.
That's
Yeah.
not even a modern reference.
Well, and like, so that made me think of that with with Ice Cube. It's like they're like, oh well, we have Ice Cube, his voice, and he's doing this, so we need him to be throwing in these references too, when they just randomly in this. And yeah, a lot of people might miss that, and you're like, hmm. But anyway, I mean, that was just I had that thought when I was going. I was like, 10, 20 years from now, how is it going to do? But then again, 10, 20 years from now, I guess who cares? Because they're making
Also, they'll probably have done 6 more of these.
yeah, exactly. Cool.
Oh yeah, and then the tagline for this movie is "Heroes aren't born; they're mutated."
Okay.
Oh, and then just the last little note I had was this is the seventh movie for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, like I said, in the '90s they had the 3 live action ones,
Hmm.
and then randomly in like the mid 2000s they had an animated one called just TMNT,
Okay.
and then obviously a few years ago they had the 2 Michael Bay ones,
Yeah.
that were I guess were live action as well. So this is the seventh one,
Okay.
seventh like movie. Obviously, they've had different shows as well, but
Yeah.
I'm not counting those. Just the movies.
Fair. Yeah, I haven't really seen like I saw definitely some of the '90s movies, but I haven't seen a single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Otherwise, I don't know a ton about the lore besides like very basic stuff as well. It was never a franchise that I super got into, growing up. And like I was like I respect it. I know a lot of people love it, but for me, I'm like, never fully was there. But what I want to say is with that tagline, what kind of message is that for the kids? You can't
I
be a
don't.
hero unless you mutate. Like what? Okay, so just these kids can never be heroes. I can never be a hero now. Thanks, turtles. But
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's not.
it's for the children. Wu Tang is
I
for
guess
the children.
I guess Captain America was quote unquote mutated,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Anyway. All right, so now we're going to start getting into some more of our spoiler territory for everyone. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want any spoilers, pause this now, go check out the movie. Mike and I are both giving it decent ratings, so like Mike with a 3, me with a 2.5, 3. That means it's an entertaining movie. So check it out now, or don't, just make sure you keep listening either way, and then come back, and we'll go from there. And also a quick word from our sponsors. Me, Just B. I am Edward Hunt. I'm with the Just B team of Compass. Compass is a nationwide brokerage, and Just B works primarily in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. If you need any advice on current market trends, need some phenomenal contractors, architects, or you need to connect with some good lenders, we got you covered. Also, a great thing about Compass being nationwide is that anywhere you go in the United States, we can hook you up and find you phenomenal real estate agents and resources as well. Also, Edward Hunt, I am a comic writer as well, and I just put out my digital comic of Evil as a Weapon, Chainsaw Wars, to all my Kickstarter backers, and towards the end of the month, I want to give all my Kickstarter backers a chance to read it first, but towards the end of this month, I'll also be posting it online, and I'll make sure to let you all know where to find it. Cool. All right, so now we're going to start getting into like a bit of a plot summary, what happened in this movie. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so there were a lot of dolphins involved for some reason. I didn't really get it, but
But all right, yeah. So the movie opens up. We have basically a hit squad sent by an executive from the Techno Cosmic Research Institute, or TCRI.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. But yeah, so this executive, Cynthia Uttram, is sent the squad to apprehend the creation of Dr. Baxter Stockman. So he was like a scientist. I guess he kind of went rogue or something like that. But he's created a mutagen that can mutate animals. And Cynthia wants the animal that was mutated. Because obviously she has nefarious purposes. So the squadron goes. They break into his lab, and before they break in, he's talking to his creation, which is this like housefly that's a little bit larger than it should be.
Like the size of a baby.
Yeah,
it's like literally the size of a baby fly.
And yeah, he's telling the housefly that he created these mutants, or he's trying to create these mutants to create a family. He always felt like an outcast and never felt accepted, so he figured that he would make his own family. So that was his motivations going.
And with that, I mean, I appreciated that as his motivation. Like, he wasn't just some kind of crazy, evil, mad scientist.
Yeah.
He's like, he's just like, I just don't really fit in with the people around me, so I wanted to make a family so I would feel loved and involved. And I was like, damn it, that's a good motivation. I'm like, man, like, what a good guy. I'm like, okay, you're sure he's making, like, these mutated monstrous creatures, but damn it, he's not doing it for evil. Granted, they could be used for evil, but... He's like Oppenheimer. He just wants to build the bomb. He doesn't want it to, like, kill people.
But yeah, so as he's talking to his housefly, the hit squad breaks in, and he's trying to like collect some of his things. He's collecting his vial of ooze. He's trying to collect the housefly and some of the specimen that he has, but he's not able to. He gets attacked, and the housefly tries to protect him. But in trying to protect him, something blows up in the lab. Oh, because they say that there's a bunch of volatile chemicals, in the lab, and so there's an explosion. Dr. Baxter dies, and the housefly kind of like first he attacks them a bit, and then like he just escapes. Yeah. And while because he escapes, Cynthia's like, all right, just collect whatever research you can find, any like papers, anything, so that we can recreate his work. And as these soldiers are searching around the lab, they kick which is dumb to me. It was like, bro, it's a glowing vial of ooze. How do you miss this?
Yeah.
Well, but anyway,
under a newspaper, like half of it was under a newspaper. So
it was in his hand most of the time. Anyway, but movie got a movie. Yeah. But yeah, so one of the soldiers kicks this vial of ooze into the sewers, and then we jump to 15 years later, and we meet our Ninja Turtles and Donnie, Leo, Mikey, and Raphael. I think they're out. What are they practicing? No, they are on a mission
Yeah.
to like basically go grocery shopping, but because since they're mutants, they can't just walk into a store. So Leo tries to give this speech or whatever, and it's like it seems like really like dark and brooding, and it was like, bro, you're doing it again. Like stop give us fucking
Stop being
speeches.
Batman. What are you right now? What?
Yeah. But it was like I think even like from the jump, this is what I enjoyed about this iteration of the Turtles. It was like they're very young. You can hear it in their voices, like they're very much either like early teens or whatever. And they have this playful banter of brothers, where it's just like constant like cracking jokes at one another and things like that. It was just like I just loved the camaraderie between them. Like it was just off the jump, which was nice. But yeah, so they're practicing with their weapons. They're also like trying to sneak into this store to get supplies that Master Splinter sent them to get. And you can tell like the reason I brought up the speech from Leo, because he's obviously, if you know the Turtles, Leonardo is the leader. I don't know if he's the eldest, but he's definitely the leader. But you see, since this is the kind of an origin story for them, they all haven't gotten like figured out who they are in a way, right? So he's trying to be the leader, but like falling short. So like he can't give the speech. They make fun of him. They complete their mission and get the supplies that they need, sneaking through the store and stuff like that. And then like on the way back, they notice that there's a showing of like a outdoor movie showing, and like Leo's like, no, we can't go because obviously, and they mentioned that Master Splinter hates humans and stuff like that. So. He's trying to get his brothers to go home, but they're like, no, we'll go. And you just see him lacking that leadership. And so they go to the outdoor movie, and I think they're showing Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep, which is
and they're kind of just and they're just kind of watching the other like people, like kids their age, and just people in general, like kind of being jealous of the fact that they're allowed to like exist in a world and being accepted in this world. I think that's a big thing they try to push.
Yeah. Well, with that, something I liked is like, and I always like the fact that it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but there were actually clips from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so they're like human movie in this animated movie world. I like that. I saw that and I was like, that's really cool. It's just, however, it struck me was just, it was just a nice little touch. But yeah, definitely agreeing that Leo's obsessed with chicks, so he was like seeing like the boyfriend girlfriend, he was like, oh man, that's what I want, and everything. So definitely they're lacking things from their lives as they're forced to steal from all these stores. Not very heroic if they're stealing all these things.
But yeah, so Leo finally convinces them to go back home, so they take their supplies back home. This is where we meet Master Splinter for the first time, played by Jackie Chan, and he questions as to why they're late, because they were saying, they stayed out late because he doesn't know. He doesn't leave the sewer, so he doesn't know how long errands take. But he immediately questions them once they get back to the house. And Leo just breaks. He's like, I didn't want to go to the movies, but they made us. And so we immediately get some backstory as to like to the mutants. So 15 years prior, as the vial fell through the sewers, we see Master Splinter talking about how he was just a deadbeat as a rat, right? He didn't have any friends. He didn't have a purpose. He was like really just kind of on his own, like very much living for himself. And then he came across the vial of ooze, and the turtles were already in the ooze. And so he was like, he felt the need to protect them. And in his trying to protect them, he touches the ooze as well, and he transforms. So they all transform into humanoids. Into I guess anthropomorphic or humanoids, whatever it is.
Yeah, anthropomorphic. Yeah.
But he mentions that they were babies, so like they mutated into babies, but he was already a grown man, so that's why he aged the way he did when he mutated. It was like, okay,
it makes perfect sense. Don't think about it. Don't worry about this. It makes sense.
But so that's what. Yeah, so he found them as they were being mutated. He also got mutated, so he decided to become their surrogate father. And they had great times in the sewers, but as they were growing up, they really they didn't like living underground. They wanted to be with the people. And so one day, after a bunch of nagging from them, he takes them up to the surface, and immediately just gets harassed and attacked by the human beings because they were like, holy shit, an actual rat. Like this is walking among us. And so they are like one of the kids almost gets hit by a car, and like people are trying to attack him and stuff like that. So it's just like from that day he just decided, one, I'm going to train you to protect yourselves. So that's how he taught them martial arts and stuff like that, and then also just to fear humans.
Yeah. So Mike, you'll know this. So the '90s. Master Splinter, he was the pet of a kung fu ninjutsu master.
Yeah, so there's different iterations of his backstory. So yeah, and I think in the '90s movie, he was the pet of a martial artist. So like that's why he was already trained before he met the turtles and mutated.
Yeah.
I think there's also a telling where he was like actually human first, and then got turned into a rat.
Okay.
I know that's a story as well. But that might be maybe from the comics or from the animated TV series or something like that. But I feel like that's also one. But yeah, in the '90s, he was a rat whose owner was into martial arts.
Yeah, so he was practicing.
As one does. As one does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because yeah, this one, the fact that he was able to teach everyone martial arts like this while just watching old school kung fu movies, which has the most impractical martial arts ever, but they became ninja masters watching like old.
I think I can say that is one thing I did. I mean, I love Jackie Chan. Obviously, he's a fucking legend. But I didn't like this telling of Master Splinter because he was always very much the wise the wise kung fu master, right? I guess once again, since they're younger, he's also a bit younger, so he hasn't gotten to the stage where we've met most of the turtles or most of them in their development, right? In other films. But I kind of didn't like this younger Master Splinter because I really like that because he's the wise one. Obviously, he's not above being told that he's wrong or something like that. But he's very much like you go to him to seek counsel and wisdom and things like that. And I didn't get that from this iteration. I think they really wanted to lean into the comedy or the sophomoric efforts of these characters. So like I didn't like that his representation in this movie.
For sure, yeah, he was just kind of like this kooky, weird recluse. Like he was not at all. He was just like, don't be afraid of all the humans, and like he was just It was a very different Master Splinter than what you've seen. And I haven't seen a ton of. Again, I'm not super well versed in this world, but like that Master Splinter, very different than like every other Master Splinter there was. So I applaud like the fact that they're trying something new and different. But he just kind of came off as this weird dude for a lot of it, but then he had a really great turn later, so maybe that was part of it because he's younger, he's trying to do what's right as a single father basically, so yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we get that background on how he met them, trained them, and kind of has kept them underground. They're only allowed to go up for supply runs. But in those moments, just like fucking The Little Mermaid, they're just obsessed with.
They want to be with the people.
Trying to be a part of the world, like. But yeah, so on another supply run, we see them. I think and this is where I literally drifted off a bit in the movie theater. I was so embarrassed, but this is where we meet April. So I think her moped or something gets stolen, and they are able to fight off the criminals, return her bike, and then kind of tell her their backstory. And then we get news reports of different heists that have been you definitely see this is very much a Gotham City type New York, where crime is rampant and there's a bunch of heists being conducted or pulled off by this villain just known as as Superfly. And so April wants to be an investigative reporter, which is usually her turn in every iteration of the Turtles. So like she wants to be an investigative reporter, so she's been looking into the robberies and into Superfly, and so they decide to team up with April to take down Superfly because the Turtles feel like if they're able to catch Superfly, then people will like them. and they won't alienate them, and they'll be accepted into the human world.
You think
April wants this big. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say yeah, because it was that whole like April even told him was like, well, like if you didn't rescue me, I'd probably be pretty freaked out by y'all. But considering you rescued me, now I like you. So that's
Yeah.
what the turtles get that idea.
Yeah, so that's their motivation. April wants to um, change the story, like her story, because of the fact that she takes them to her high school. I think because of the crime in the city, prom has been canceled, so the school's empty. She takes them to.
Well, this
Sorry,
is
go ahead.
how she has a key to this high school. You know, I was thinking with something with high schoolers. I'm like, why does a high schooler have the key to get into like their high school at like 11 o'clock at night? That doesn't really make sense. But you know, that movie, yeah.
But yeah, so she takes them to their high school. I guess this is going to be their base of operations as they search for as they search for Superfly, and Mikey tries to sign up for the improv club or something like that, but they realize they don't have last names, so they start just making up names for themselves. He calls himself Michael, first name Michael, last name Angelo. We have Leon Nardo, and that's a joke. And once again, since they're teenagers, it's like they do lean into this like their juvenile jokes, but it was you got it. That's who they are. Like that's who they are right now. So like I said, so I did enjoy that, and then we see. They notice a nickname. April's nickname is April O'Puke because teenagers are just super good at coming up with nicknames. But we get a flashback of she decided since she wanted to be an investigative reporter that she joined the news team at the school to just read the morning announcements. But on her first report, she freezes up and begins to vomit all over the place, and it goes viral. And it was like, this is where I was like, God damn it. Is this for kids, I guess?
It was.
Because
It was definitely more of a kids movie for that too.
it was just like, it was like one thing, all right, it's one thing to throw up, but it was like excessive. Like, it went on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's annoying as shit. But yeah, so she's trying to change. See, that's her motivation here, right? So the turtles are motivated. If they rescue people, then everyone will like them. April is trying to break the story so that people don't think of her just as Puke Girl. And so they realize that there's a job going down soon, but they need to find the who's doing the job. So this is where we get just a montage of them going to different bosses in the city, taking out their henchmen and like interrogating them. Which I think it was a cool action sequence. I guess I really did enjoy it. I think it's just the fact that they were definitely killing people. Like you can't just wave a sword around and act like you're Batman, just lightly putting people to sleep. Like
No. They were all the poor normal Nate, all of normal Nate's henchmen. You know?
talking about Toupee Tony. But yeah, so they finally get to the guy who's doing the job, and they get a background basically on Superfly has been hiring people to do the job to do the robberies for him, and then whoever he hires, he actually ends up killing. Yeah. And so the guy who pulled off, and he's stealing lab supplies from the TCRI for something. He's building something. And so they steal the last the shipment that this guy, I can't remember the guy's name who actually stole it. They steal his supply, and they go to meet up with Superfly at the meeting point. And April is hiding somewhere, and just waiting for them to out this criminal mastermind, so they can report it. But something right before we get to the meeting of Superfly, there was a scene, I guess, outside of one of the interrogation places where like they leaned into the fact that they're teenagers, so they just start like dancing and like just rapping alongside one another. Yeah. It was like ooh, it was just I think it added to the fun of this movie, right? Because like you said, I guess it is for kids, and it was very much for kids. So it was just like they were saying like "you're" because they're from New York. So it was very much like seeing a group of teenagers on like the subway after school or something like that. Like it definitely gave you that. That's what I'm saying. I did really enjoy this interpretation of the turtles.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I think you can just tell the voice actors for the main four were having so much fun, and they really brought that to these performances. So I did enjoy that. But yeah, they go to the meeting spot to meet Superfly, and they notice right away that it's a bunch of mutants, like mutated animals. So you see Bebop and Rocksteady, who are a warthog and a rhino. You have fucking Superfly, who's it's a housefly from earlier, and he notices them, and he's because once again he was like whoever he hired, he was going to kill. Yeah. So I think he was going in with that mentality, and he sees that there are 4 mutated turtles, and he's like, "Holy shit! Yeah. Did y'all find some serum or something like that?"
Sludge. Yeah.
Sludge. That's what he called it. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, oh, we don't like that. We call it ooze. It just rolls off the tongue. And it was like, once again, getting into this, like, them not being able to take a moment serious. But it's fine. It's not like how, I guess, Marvel did it with the Ant-Man, where it was just like every serious moment was capped off with a joke. It was very leaning into this idea that, like, teenagers can't, they can't be serious for too long. They do need to lean into, jokes and things of that nature. So we get Superfly, realizing that they are mutants just like him, and instead he decides to introduce them to his crew. So we just meet his family, and so we jump back to the beginning of the movie when the housefly attacks the soldiers. His creator dies, and since he was giving him this whole speech about creating your family because they weren't accepted. The housefly takes the other specimen that had also been exposed to the ooze, and he just raises them as his brothers and sisters. And then he was saying how his goal. So they go back to because April was like, get him to tell you his plans or something like that because she's in their ears. And before that, they take him back to their hideout, which is on Staten Island, some like shipwreck on bowling alley. Sorry.
Well, they had the bowling alley, then they have the shipwreck. But yeah, they're at the bowling alley right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at the bowling alley, we just see them like, oh, this is where we meet Paul Rudd's character as the Gecko. Mm-hmm. Him and Mikey really hit it off because like Paul Rudd is just all vibes, and that's really Mikey's thing. You have Bebop and Rocksteady are very angry and very tough, so like Raphael just leans into that. Yeah. And so you just see them. I think it is that, and I guess we'll talk about themes. It was very much that the acceptance they were looking for, right? Mm-hmm. They just got it from people who were like them, and I think I can appreciate that message, especially since it is for a younger audience. It is that both. One of the themes was acceptance, and the other thing that I saw was basically the family that you like finding your tribe in a way, right? It was just like not trying to force people to accept you, but just finding people that just accept you. There's a big difference. So you see them like kind of forgetting their mission. Like April's still in the air. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Like, you can't let him get this machine to complete whatever he's completing. But it was like they forget about that because they finally feel seen in this moment, which was like interesting. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, so yeah, with that too, it was just like from that family perspective, you see also like Superfly, and I don't remember all the other mutants' names and everything, but like all of them were very close, and like Superfly raised them. Mm-hmm. He was definitely their like big brother, father figure, but even more like probably big brother, I would say. But like they had like the scene of like all of them sitting on like the couch together. You know what I mean? Like together. So it's like that was like a really nice scene, and you could see like how much they all kind of liked each other. And this is why I'm bringing it up now because of later, and why I'm just like,
no, I fully get you.
Yeah, but like right here, it sets them up like their family. But no, I completely agree. It's like for the first time ever, like all of the turtles have these other people that are like them, and they can feel similar to them. So there definitely is that like nice, bonding moment for sure.
Yeah. And then while they're bonding, Leo's still like, because April was in their ear. He's asking Superfly the plan for the weapon that they had stolen. Mm-hmm. And he says, Superfly says that he's going to basically release a pathogen in the air to mutate all of the non-human life forms in the world. So that's flies, amoebas, bacteria, whatever. It was like a bunch of anything that's not human is going to get mutated, and then they're going to just take over because humans. I think they had the same. The Superfly mentions that they kind of had the same exact experience with humans. Like one day they go out just to get food or something like that, and immediately just get attacked by human beings. But instead of they're attacked and chased actually by human beings, but instead of just running away and like cowering, they decided to. Oh, at least Superfly decided to fight back.
Yeah.
So that's what he wants to do. He wants to mutate all other animals so that the animals can be the dominant species on Earth and wipe out the humans. And so realizing this, now the turtles are like, so what happens if we just don't agree with you? And this is when fucking Superfly gets very serious and it's just like either you with us or against us type. And this is when like they decide that they're going to. This is when they travel to Staten Island because they have like this abandoned ship, the ship that they use as their base in their lab. So as they're driving, they what did they do? So the boys are driving in a van the turtles are driving in a van with the gecko and two, I think like the bat or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Gecko, bat, and maybe the cockroach. But I can't really remember.
No, it was I think it was Rocksteady.
Okay.
But anyway, they're driving in a van with three of the other mutants, and Mikey presses the brake using his Donatello's staff, and immediately the three other mutants that aren't the turtles are just thrown out of the windshield, and then Donatello, who's the driver, he kind of drives away because they want to make sure that the Superfly doesn't get this weapon. And I was just sitting there watching it like, bro, just break it. I don't.
Yeah, to make life a little easier.
It's just like, what are we doing here?
You're teenagers.
Well, yeah.
You don't know.
So yeah, there's a chase scene. You definitely see Superfly turn on them, and he's able to get the machine, and then he abandons the turtles. They get captured by TCRI because they are also being chased by Cynthia, the lady from. The executive from that ordered the hit squad in the beginning of the movie. They've been searching for these mutants, and now she's found them. So they capture the mutants, and Leo looks up to April for help, and she just drives off.
Yeah.
And so,
did you ever think April wasn't going to help out?
No.
Yeah, no, not really. No. It was.
I didn't. Yeah. She seemed like loyal from the jump. I didn't see.
Well, because like they're definitely trying to make it like that big beat of like, oh man, she's not gonna help him. Will she? Won't she? Whatever. But I was like, no, she's gonna help him. Like, and then I guess like because you think even movies, but like just looking at like April's character, I never really felt for a second that she might have not been there.
See, but I think as an audience, we think that because once again we have X amount of years watching films, and tropes are tropes. They're they don't stray away from them. But I think for the turtles, since they don't have any true interactions with human beings, it was a lot more devastating.
Fair.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. I just wonder if there's a way to portray that in the movie as well to make you kind of more feel like how the turtles are feeling of that. Because I think other things movies have kind of made you question whether or not they're going to come back or not. But I don't know. But yeah, but I agree. Definitely like
But I think it's also like the with other movies, like they put more into the relationships between the character that quote makes a turn, right? Mm-hmm. Like they've known this girl for a smooth in movie time like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, fair.
Right? Since the movie isn't that long, they haven't known her that long, so like they haven't really leaned into some type of I guess they seem loyal, right? But it was just but it's like they haven't had enough time to really write that out, or like for the audience to see that, so it doesn't hit as hard for an audience member. But like I said, I think in the turtles' mind, the one human that they did trust in abandoned them, right? So it's just like that. I think that it strikes them way more than it strikes the audience. Then you're right. It would have been nice if both the audience and the characters in the film would have felt that same betrayal. Or just questioned her motives in a way.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so the turtles get captured. They get taken to the TCRI headquarters, where they are promptly put into a machine and milked, which was funny because obviously it's a foreshadowing thing from earlier, but it was just like when Master Splinter early on when he's like telling their backstory and why he fears humans. He was like, humans just want to milk you, and there was like,
Your blood.
yeah. And one of the turtle goes, I feel like it was like Raphael, but he just goes, "Yo, we don't even have udders, bro." Like it was just that was funny. But yeah, so like they're being basically drained of the mutagen, so that because Cynthia wants to create her own army of mutated animals for missions and stuff like that. So while they're being drained, April goes to Splinter and just tells him that the boys have been captured and we need your help. And somehow they figure out exactly where they are. That did throw me off, but
Yeah,
we're powering through this movie. We got like 25 minutes left. But yeah, so Master Splinter and April go to save the boys. This is where you get like him another, I guess, a cool action scene. It's weird because one of my favorite movies from Jackie Chan is The Drunken Master or whatever. So it's like he gets his power, and he's done it in a few movies like Forbidden Kingdom and stuff like that, where it's just like his style is drunken, so it's very unorthodox.
Yeah.
And it was like, so I think they were trying to recreate that or at least in my opinion, they were trying to recreate that in this fight scene in the lab headquarters or whatever, because it was like he's hitting people, but then every now he needs to like stretch because he's old and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's like they're literally playing into the fact that he is older. So like he'll leap around like a young spry man, and then like, oh my, wait, cramp like.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really cool action sequence, like total, like overall, and yeah, like the Drunken Master, Jackie Chan Drunken Master, but also like Jackie Chan's like unorthodox way of fighting, where he would use like other tools. Like I can't remember what movie it is where he has like the ladder, and he's using literally like a giant wooden ladder.
Oh yeah, is that like Rumble in the Bronx or something like that?
I don't really remember. Yeah, but like, so there's that. So there's like even some of that, like using like the wheelie chair that he's in. In that wheelie chair,
I guess I forgot about that because the difference between the fighting styles of a Jet Li and a Jackie Chan was the fact that Jackie Chan was very much like he really used his environment.
Yeah.
Like whether it was climbing through windows or something like that. Yeah. And I guess that's cool that they added that into this.
I like that.
I guess I didn't notice it in the moment, but that is really cool.
Yeah, so from that fight sequence, I thought that was like one of my favorite. Like, and there were like solid fight sequences up to this point with the Turtles, but like I really liked Master Splinter coming in and just kicking ass and being like with his unorthodox Jackie Chan style way of fighting. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
But yeah, so they defeat all the guards. They escape, and Master Splinter is very upset with them because of the fact that they lied and they put themselves in danger. And they realize that they need to go and stop Superfly, but they send April home and stuff like that. But this is another one where it's just like, do you think she's not going to be a part of that? All right, come on, like at least write it like you believe, like she would not possibly help, going further. But yeah, so they go to the they go to the ship, the abandoned shipwreck that the mutants use as their headquarters, and the turtles get there with Master Splinter, and they think they have the element of surprise, but Superfly's like, nope, we saw y'all coming. And so they're fighting like all of like the different mutants, like Bebop, Rocksteady, the Bat, even like Mondo the Gecko, whatever. But Leo's trying to talk Superfly out of it, saying like, killing the humans, it'll make you just like, make us just like them. Even so, and this is where you get that turn where all of the mutants except for Superfly are like, we really don't want to kill anybody. We just want to be accepted. But it was like also like they really go against their father figure, their parental,
Well, so with that, so you're telling me like Rocksteady was the Rhino, and what was the Warhawk's name? Bebop.
Bebop.
Yeah. So you're telling me Rocksteady and Bebop didn't want to kill all the humans? Bullshit. All right. No, 100% of all the other mutants. No, 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 no. Those two wanted to kill humans. But yeah. So like, I get where it's like, even for all of them, I get they're like, hey, we don't really want to kill humans. Like, I get that, and they'd be like, hey, Big Brother, Superfly, this isn't something we don't want to do. But then they're just like, we don't want to do this. Hey, get that motherfucker! And they just
Yeah.
rush Superfly and start beating the fuck out of him. I'm like, no, dude, this is their big brother who took care of them from when they were this big. There is no fucking way.
Yeah, it could have been at least a bit of like you see this contemplation, like this deep, like I don't, I do feel you're wrong, but also you are my brother type of thing. It was immediate, like somebody just presented an idea that was like, oh, we don't have to.
We
That's
don't have to.
I never thought of that.
We should kill Superfly. They're just like, that was the one thing, and I was like, bullshit. There's no way. Like, again, like the fact that they did not want to kill humans, absolutely. The fact that like Superfly was going too far because he wanted to protect them, 100%. But the fact that all of his younger siblings were just like, okay, we're gonna beat the fuck out of him now. Nah, I did not like that part. But they needed that turn, I suppose.
Yeah, and then like really quickly because we can wrap this up. The movies but yeah. So as they're fighting off, trying to stop the machine or whatever and stop Superfly, we hear him saying like, "I'm doing this to protect you," and Master Splinter is hearing these words and he's like, "You sound just like me," and basically seeing the error in his ways and like his hatred of humans and him hiding the boys, like hiding the turtles from the outside world. It was like he just felt he saw him like obviously he's a single father, so he's doing what he believes is best, but he's seeing the error in his ways.
Yeah.
Which was a cool scene. I guess.
Yeah, because Superfly is like, you're just like me, man. Be on my side. And he's like, oh, shit, I have been just like you, kind of. No, bad. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're able to not necessarily destroy the machine, but they're able to sink it into the ocean along with Superfly, and they think that it's all done. But one of the mutants says, "So we just dumped a bunch of ooze into the ocean that has animals in it," and so right after you see that Superfly has merged with a bunch of sea animals, because of the ooze, I was like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah,
this is
so
what we're doing.
that, and just kind of cutting forward. He merges with all the sea animals, and he merges with a bunch of animals in the zoo coming up.
Yeah,
and you're just like, I'm like, what? Like, and we have nothing of this ooze. Like, I get it. Like, you're just like, yo, we want to have a giant kaiju like monster to wrap up this movie. But when them just like that happened, I was like, nah, it's dumb. That was like a little like,
okay. This ending was a little dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he merges with a whale, octopus, a bunch of sea creatures. Then he goes to the zoo, merges with a bunch of like horses and other animals, and then he just wants to attack New York City.
And horses aren't a zoo, for the record. I don't think I've really been to a zoo that has horses, but hey, just putting that out there.
But yeah, so the turtles, along with the other mutants, decide that they need to stop Superfly. So they go to the city, and they try to they have a gun from the CCRI, which basically kind of I guess would revert them back to normal or whatever. Like if it shot the turtles, it would kind of revert them back to normal. So they're hoping that shooting at this kaiju like Superfly, it'll do the same thing. But all it does is knock off one horse. Yeah. So they're like, what can we do? At the same time, April is noticing that the news is reporting that along with the kaiju Superfly, all of the mutants are attacking the city. And so she goes to the news station and says, no, those mutants, there are good mutants and then there's the bad big mutant. Trying to just, and she almost, she's nervous at first, but she's able to get it out because once again, it's recreating that scene from the morning news when she puked. But yeah, so she's able to get the news out, but then immediately once she's done, she throws up, and I'm just like, God damn it, fucking Nickelodeon, like, ugh.
Hey, man. Ooze, slime, they got to do it,
But yeah, so this is when you see the different. This is where finally, after a whole movie, you see all the turtles growing into their personality. So Leo gives him a speech about Donnie's the smart one, Mikey's the, I can't remember what he said about Mike. Oh, what would Mikey do? Like, what would, figure out how to defeat this thing.
Yeah, improv.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your improv, like, adapt. You're the best at making plans. Raphael, like, you're angry, use that anger. And then he's finally able to give a really good speech. And so the Turtles decide they're going to drop some formula into the whale's blowhole in order to defeat Superfly.
Yeah.
And so you see them trying, but they get like captured by Superfly. He's about to crush them. Master Splinter's trying to help him, but he's injured. And then the guy comes up to him and reaches out his hand as if he's going to hit him, but he opens it and says, "Hey, buddy, are you all right?" And you see that because of April's report, the New Yorkers aren't afraid of the mutants. They know that they're trying to help. And so the New Yorkers, along with the mutants, Master Splinter, and the Turtles, work together to throw the solution into Superfly's blowhole, and he is defeated. And once again, we can run through this really quick. He's defeated. The city cheers for them.
Yay! They ask him to sign the baby.
And then we see a little bit later that all of the mutants, all of Superfly's brothers and sisters, have moved into the sewers with the Turtles and Master Splinter. And then as you see them, going around the sewers, you also see that the Turtles are dressed up because they're finally going to start high school. And so, Master Splinter says, basically show them who you are. Don't be afraid. I mean, if you want to come home, you can. But, please go out there, just, be yourselves and stuff like that. And so they go to the high school, they open the doors, and, people pause for a bit, and then they just start cheering.
Yeah.
You see that, and April comes and welcomes them in, shows them around. You see that her name has been changed from April O'Puke to April O'Hero, and I was just like, goddamn teenagers.
High schoolers are clever.
Where's the improv?
That's just a clever nickname right there. I like that. Yeah.
And so, then you see them, each one of the Turtles kind of branching out and finding themselves. So, Mikey joins the improv crew. Donnie has a thing where he says, "I found my people," and it's just a bunch of bunch of teenagers on their phones or whatever. And then Raph joins the wrestling team, and then Leonardo is working with April to continue to bring down the TCRI. And then you see that he asks her to prom. She says yes, but just as friends. Yeah. Because once again, it is still interspecies. Let's relax. All for inclusion and all that shit, but come on, calm it down. But the end of the movie sees them kind of being acclimated into school. They go to prom, where everybody's loving them, and then we kind of but you see that Cynthia, the executive from TCR, is actually watching them on a monitor, and she says, "So it wasn't easy to find these turtles, but now we need to figure out a way to capture them." Yeah. And so she says, "Hi, call the Shredder." And so we see a zoom out, and we see the silhouette of the Shredder looking at the city, clearly hinting Shredder will be the main antagonist in a possible sequel. Yeah.
And the two things on the desk as well was Superfly, or was a fly in a vial. So I'm assuming that was Superfly as well. It wasn't labeled Superfly, but that would make sense. But that is the movie, and that's how it ends. So looking at time here, I think we'll kind of cut it a little bit quicker. But I guess just last big, give me one big like, Mike, and one big dislike that you had from it.
I think, like I said, I really just enjoyed the performances from the main four. I think they just really played off well with one another. They really seemed like brothers, and they had their jokes and making fun of one another, but it was still obviously that love for one another. I really enjoyed that. What I didn't like, I think it was just kind of the story was kind of unremarkable to me in a way, and then also it did lack character depth. They very much seemed like one-dimensional characters, right? Leo's the leader, Mikey's the silly one, Donnie's the smart one. Raph is the angry one. It was very much, they stuck to one trait, and that was it. That really just defined and it wasn't just the turtles. It was like kind of everybody had just one trait. So it seemed weirdly to say that in an animated movie, it seemed very flat in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would say really big like for me was the animation and action sequences. I thought that was done really well. I like the different kind of animation that even because there were times like looking at some of the people like they were ugly, like in a good way.
Yeah, the weird head shapes.
Yeah, but I liked it, and I was like, cool, I'm totally for it. So like when an animation can be like that's really good animation, and that's like an ugly character that just doesn't look, I guess more. I don't know the word, but still like
traditional. We'll say.
Yeah, I guess traditional, I suppose. But yeah, still really cool. I like the animation a lot. Yeah, my big dislike would be the story, and then some of the character development, and even like with Raph, I had this other like, oh, Raph's the angry one. Raph's the angry one. Raph like he's the angry one because we know he's the angry one from like all the other movies. But even there's like we got to get you therapy. I was like, I don't really see anything in this Raph character.
Yeah,
you need therapy for the entire thing. So yeah. Yeah, and I guess like a big theme or idea behind the movie for me that would be just acceptance and like finding your tribe basically of just like you see on both levels, both with Superfly and with the Turtles, how damaging it can be when you aren't accepted for who you are and when you don't have people around you that love you and like care about you. And like luckily with the Superfly crew, they had there was a much bigger crew of all the mutants, and they really cared about one another. But since the entire world still hated them, their Superfly especially was like transformed and like wanted to destroy the world. Then you have the same with like the Turtles and Master Splinter. Master Splinter is a phenomenal father figure and wants to protect the Turtles, but considering they know this world won't accept them. There's still like all of these feelings about that. So like having that play out of seeing like, okay, when the world accepts you, and that's not that the world has to accept you, like it's really about finding like the people you vibe with and you care about. But when you have that family and you have people you can relate to, just how much more of like a fulfilling life you can have almost, I would say. But yeah, cool. So I guess from there, what we like to do whenever we review a movie is we always want to go back and revisit our original review. So Mike, you gave it a 3 out of 5. Are you sticking with it now at the end?
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, originally it was a 2.5, but no, I did have fun. I think it is a lot of fun, like for the most part. And realizing that it is geared towards children, you see why they make some of the decisions that they make as far as storytelling and stuff like that, and jokes and all that. It's not for a more mature audience. So, it was fun.
Yeah.
So 3.
Yep, I'm gonna give it like a 3 as well for that exact reason. Like if you're going to compare it to more fully formed movie, and that's the thing. Like you look at other animated movies where it can be both for children and adults, like Spider-Verse, and that's why those movies are just so damn good, is because it really can transcend and go throughout a little bit more. Versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, definitely more geared towards children with like some juvenile humor and juvenile themes, but still a really solid movie that I think. It's fun for adults. It's fun for kids. It's a solid movie all in all. So yeah, I'm going to go give it a 3 as well. But thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate you. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at 2meddlingkids on Twitter and Instagram. Or if you'd like to email us, we are 2meddlingkids@gmail.com. But if you'd like to reach out to me, I am at edhunt77 on Twitter and Instagram. And if you'd like to check out my comic, I am hunt.comics. But until next time, everybody, we'll see you soon. Gotcha.
Bye.